Assalamu alaikum. This is Maria Zulfikar welcoming you all to the English news from Btv-Chattogram. Let's begin with the headlines. Government gives final approval of Referendum Ordinance 2025. Verdict over plot irregularity case against Sheikh Hasina, Sheikh Rehana and Tulip Siddiq on 1st December. Hearing on Kushtia killing during July uprising against Mahbubul Alam Hanif and 3 others to begin on December 8. Politically involved persons can't be appointed for election observation, says Chief Election Commissioner. Women Affairs Advisor urges addressing digital violence against women and children unitedly. Nine children and women killed as Pakistani force bomb house in Afghanistan. And Portugal and Austria to face off in FIFA Under-17 World Cup final in Qatar. Viewers, those were the headlines. Now moving on to the details. The government today gave final approval to the draft of the Referendum Ordinance 2025 in line with the July National Charter Implementation Order 2025. The Council of Advisors gave the approval at a special meeting held at the Chief Advisor's office with Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus in the chair. Earlier of the meeting, the investigation committee submitted its report on the recent fire at the cargo terminal of Hazrat Shah Jalal International Airport to the chief advisor. The members of the advisory council and the concerned secretaries were present at the meeting. Law advisor Dr. Asif Nazrul briefed the media on the matter at the Foreign Service Academy in the capital this afternoon. Election Commission Senior Secretary Akhtar Ahmed and the Chief Advisor's Press Secretary Shafiqul Alam were present.
সেখানে গুরুত্বপূর্ণ যে কিছু বিধান আছে সেগুলি আপনাদের বলছি। প্রথম হচ্ছে গণভোটের প্রশ্ন কি, এটা আমরা আগেও ক্লিয়ার করেছি। গণভোটের প্রশ্ন থাকবে একটি মাত্র প্রশ্ন থাকবে। প্রশ্নটা হচ্ছে আপনি জুলাই জাতীয় সনদ সংবিধান সংস্কার বাস্তবায়ন আদেশ 2025 এবং জুলাই সনদে লিপিবদ্ধ সংবিধান সংস্কার সম্পর্কিত নিম্নলিখিত প্রস্তাবসমূহের প্রতি আপনার সম্মতি জ্ঞাপন করিতেছেন। তারপর সেখানে হ্যাঁ এবং না দুইটা বক্স থাকবে। যারা সম্মতি জানাচ্ছেন তারা হাতে ভোট দিবেন, যারা জানাচ্ছেন না তারা নাতে ভোট দিবেন। প্রস্তাবগুলো কি, কোন 4টা প্রস্তাবে আমরা ওনাদের সম্মতি চাচ্ছি বা অসম্মতি জানতে চাচ্ছি। একটা হচ্ছে ক, নির্বাচনকালীন তত্ত্বাবধায়ক সরকার, নির্বাচন কমিশন এবং অন্যান্য সাংবিধানিক প্রতিষ্ঠান জুলাই সনদে বর্ণিত প্রক্রিয়ার আলোকে গঠন করা হবে। খ, আগামী জাতীয় সংসদ হবে 2 কক্ষ বিশিষ্ট এবং সংসদ নির্বাচনে দলগুলির প্রাপ্ত ভোটের অনুপাতে 100 সদস্য বিশিষ্ট একটি উচ্চ কক্ষ গঠিত হবে। সংবিধান সংশোধন করতে হলে উচ্চ কক্ষের সংখ্যাগরিষ্ঠ সদস্যের অনুমোদন প্রয়োজন হবে। গ, সংসদে নারীর প্রতিনিধি বৃদ্ধি, বিরোধী দল হতে ডেপুটি স্পিকার এবং কয়েকটি সংসদীয় কমিটির সভাপতি নির্বাচন, মৌলিক অধিকার, বিচার বিভাগের স্বাধীনতা, স্থানীয় সরকার, প্রধানমন্ত্রীর মেয়াদ, রাষ্ট্রপতির ক্ষমতা সহ যে 30টি বিষয়ে জুলাই জাতীয় সনদে ঐক্যমত্য হয়েছে সেসব বাস্তবায়নে আগামী সংসদ নির্বাচনে বিজয়ী রাজনৈতিক দলগুলো বাধ্য থাকবে। খ, জুলাই জাতীয় সনদে বর্ণিত অপরাপর সংস্কার রাজনৈতিক দলগুলির প্রতিশ্রুতি অনুযায়ী বাস্তবায়ন করা হবে।
নির্বাচনের প্রস্তুতির বিষয় বলতে গেলে প্রথমেই আমাকে যেটা বলতে হয় যে আমাদের ভোটার তালিকা, আমরা এখন ভোটার তালিকা আমরা প্রিপেয়ার করছি। আমাদের আপনারা জানেন কেন্দ্র ভিত্তিক ভোটার তালিকা প্রস্তুত করতে হয় এবং আমরা সেই ভোটার তালিকাটা এখন প্রস্তুত করা শুরু করেছি এবং আমাদের ধারণা যে সব ঠিক মতন চললে আগামী মাসে 5 তারিখের ভিতরে, ডিসেম্বরের 5 তারিখের ভিতরে আমাদের ভোটার তালিকা কমপ্লিট হয়ে যাবে। আর অন্যান্য যে দ্রব্য সামগ্রী যেটা আমাদের লাগে, ব্যালট বক্স, লক, সিল, গালা, আপনার কালি, আঙুলের অমোচনীয় কালি, স্টাম্প প্যাড, এগুলোর পর্যাপ্ত পরিমাণে আমাদের মজুদ এসছে। লাস্ট স্টক যেটা আমরা পেয়েছি সেটাও এখন আমাদের দখলে আছে এবং আমাদের কাছে আছে এবং আমরা এটা ক্রমাগতভাবে আস্তে আস্তে আমরা বিভিন্ন জায়গায় এটা পৌঁছে দেব। যে প্রবাসী যারা আছেন বা আপনার দেশে যারা সরকারি চাকরিজীবী এবং নির্বাচনী কর্মকাণ্ডে যারা জড়িত থাকেন বা আইনি হেফাজতে যারা আছেন, তারা এবার ইন কান্ট্রি পোস্টাল ব্যালট ভোটের আওতায় তারা ভোট দিতে পারবেন। তাদের রেজিস্ট্রেশনটা, দেশের রেজিস্ট্রেশনটা একটু পরে করব আমরা, এখন বিদেশের রেজিস্ট্রেশনটা শুরু হয়েছে এবং আমরা আশাব্যঞ্জক সাড়া পাচ্ছি।
হযরত শাহজালাল আন্তর্জাতিক বিমানবন্দরের আমদানি কার্গো কমপ্লেক্সে আপনারা জানেন যে গত মাসের 18 তারিখে একটা ভয়াবহ অগ্নিকাণ্ড হয়েছিল। সেইটার অগ্নিকাণ্ডের আজকে যে রিপোর্টটা পেশ করা হয়েছে, তদন্ত রিপোর্ট, সেটার উপরে আলোচনা হয়েছে। তা এটার যেগুলো চুম্বক অংশ সেগুলো আমি বলছি যেগুলোর ফাইন্ডিংস ছিল। যেটা ফাইন্ডিং সেটা হচ্ছে এটা কোনো স্যাবোটাজ ছিল না, এটা আর্কের পরবর্তী বৈদ্যুতিক আর্কিং এবং বৈদ্যুতিক শর্ট সার্কিটের কারণে এই আগুনটা লাগে। আর আর্কের পরবর্তীতে শর্ট সার্কিটের কারণে কুরিয়ার শেডের বর্ধিত অংশের উত্তর পশ্চিম কোণের পাশাপাশি অবস্থিত কয়েকটি কুরিয়ার এজেন্সির খাঁচাগুলোর মধ্যবর্তী স্থানে অগ্নিপাতের সূত্রপাত হয়।
A Dhaka court set December 1st for pronouncing judgment in a case against 17 people, including ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, her sister Sheikh Rehana, and niece Tulip Siddiq, over irregularities in the allocation of a 10-katha plot in the Rajuk New Town project. Judge Robiul Alam of Dhaka Special Judge 4 set the date on Tuesday after both the prosecution and defense concluded their final arguments. The ACC's Deputy Director Salahuddin initially filed the case on January 13 against Sheikh Rehana, accusing her of corruption and abuse of power in securing the plot allocation. The initial complaint also named Sheikh Rehana's daughter Tulip Rizwana Siddiq and Sheikh Hasina along with 15 others. Following the investigation, the ACC filed a charge sheet on March 10 against a total of 17 accused, including 2 additional persons. The trial officially began on July 31 when Judge Robiul Alam framed charges against the accused. A total of 32 witnesses testified before the court during the proceedings. In the case filed on charges of crimes against humanity over the killing of 6 people in Kushtia during the July 2024 mass uprising, the hearing of witness testimony against Mahbubul Alam Hanif and 3 others will begin on December 8. Following the opening statement by the prosecution today before the judicial panel of International Crimes Tribunal 2 led by Justice Nuzrul Islam Chaudhry, the tribunal fixed this date. The opening statement was presented by prosecutor Mizanul Islam. In his statement, the background of 3 specific charges, including inciting speeches and the killing of 6 people in Kushtia, was outlined against Mahbubul Alam Hanif and the other accused. Besides Hanif, the other 3 accused in this case are local leaders of the now banned Awami League in Kushtia, Shodaruddin Khan, Asghar Ali, Ataur Rahman Atta. All 4 accused are currently absconding. The prosecution stated that testimonies of 38 witnesses will be recorded in this case. Earlier, on November 2, the tribunal framed charges and ordered the commencement of the formal trial. Later, prosecutor Dr. Mizanul Islam briefed journalists. He said that under the patronage of the highest authority of state power at the time, the accused in this case showed no regard for the lives and rights of ordinary people. Instead, to protect their own interests, they stripped people of their rights and lives. Meanwhile, in the case over the killing of two people, including Amir Hossain, who was shot while hanging from a roof cornice in Rampura during the July mass uprising, witness testimony against 5 individuals, including former DMP Commissioner Habibur Rahman, continued today for the 7th day. At the International Crimes Tribunal 1, the testimony began this morning. Today, Sub-Inspector of Police Rokunuzzaman gave his statement in this case. Later, defense lawyers cross-examined him. Earlier in the morning, the only arrested accused in this case, Chonchul Chandra Sarkar, was produced before the tribunal. The Chief Election Commissioner A.M.M. Nasiruddin said no one involved in politics can be appointed for election observation duties. He made this statement in his opening remarks at a dialogue with election observer organizations at the election building at Agargaon in the capital today. The CEC said if those responsible for election observation show bias towards any political party, it will damage their own reputation. Therefore, to ensure a transparent election, everyone must have a clear understanding of the law. The CEC also said the Election Commission wants to move forward in organizing a fair and proper election by learning from the mistakes of the past. Meanwhile, Election Commissioner retired Brigadier General Abul Fazal Muhammad Sanaullah said the schedule for the 13th National Parliamentary election will be announced in the first half of December. Within 10 days of the announcement of the schedule, the list of observers must be submitted to the Election Commission. He said the upcoming parliamentary election will be participatory. The EC said no foreigner will be able to act as an observer on behalf of a local organization. They must apply under their respective laws and regulations as foreign observers in order to carry out observation. The recent powerful earthquake has prompted serious concern among the country's policymakers. In particular, the roles of Rajuk and private landlords in constructing earthquake-resilient housing have become talks of the town. Experts opined that comprehensive planning is essential to ensure building safety, reduce long-term seismic risks, and protect citizens. Rajuk sources said many houses in Dhaka have been constructed without following any approved design. Experts warned that ignoring professional guidance and proper design during construction has increased structural risks. They said when building new houses, it is essential to follow structural design and obtain expert assessments. For buildings that have already been constructed, evaluations should be carried out to determine their safety, they added. Experts also remarked that if a major earthquake occurs, ensuring people's safety must be the top priority. The 16 days observance of the International Campaign for the Elimination of Violence Against Women 2025 began today at the China-Bangladesh Friendship Conference Center in the capital. This year's theme is Unite to End Digital Violence Against All Women and Girls. Women and Children Affairs Advisor Sharmin S. Murshid attended the program as the chief guest, while Women and Children Affairs Ministry Senior Secretary Mumtaz Ahmed chaired the event. In her remarks, Sharmin S. Murshid said a new generation of women is advancing in the digital world, but their progress will be hindered if safety cannot be ensured. She said eliminating digital violence is impossible without coordinated efforts from families, society, and the state. The advisor urged all to unite in addressing the rapidly growing threat of digital violence. The Metro Rail's online recharge service has officially been launched today. This service will allow passengers to top up their cards from home. Chief Advisor Special Assistant Sheikh Moinuddin inaugurated the service at Agargaon Metro Station in the capital. Speaking at the event as chief guest, Sheikh Moinuddin said the initiative will bring a significant improvement to passenger services in public transportation. He said commuters can now use a single card for MRT buses and water boats. Sheikh Moinuddin added that efforts are underway to ensure the smooth use of the rapid pass across all modes of public transport for the convenience of the passengers. Road Transport and Highways Division Additional Secretary Nikhil Kumar Dash was the special guest, while DTCA Executive Director Nilima Akhtar presided over the program. Now, international news. At least 9 children and a woman have been killed after Pakistani forces bombed a house in Afghanistan's southeastern coast province. Zabihullah Mujahid, the spokesman for the Taliban administration, said the attack took place at midnight in the district of Gurbuz. The latest attack risks triggering renewed hostilities and comes as a fragile ceasefire between the two nations hang by a thread, with each side blaming the other for the impasse in the negotiations. Mujahid said other airstrikes took place in northeastern Kunar and eastern Paktika provinces, wounding at least 4 civilians. There was no immediate comment from Pakistan regarding the attacks. Later on Tuesday, Mujahid said Afghanistan would respond appropriately at the right time. The bombardment in Afghanistan comes a day after a suicide attack that targeted the headquarters of Pakistan's paramilitary Federal Constabulary Force in Peshawar. The Jamaatul Ahrar, which is a splinter group of the Pakistan Taliban (TTP), claimed responsibility for that attack. Israeli forces have killed at least 4 Palestinians and wounded several others across Gaza, despite a 6-week ceasefire, as a Palestinian armed group announced recovering the body of another captive in the war-torn territory. The victims on Monday included a Palestinian man who was killed in a drone attack in the southern town of Bani Suhaila in an area controlled by Israeli forces beyond the so-called Yellow Line. Separately, a Palestinian child was also killed in northern Gaza City when ordinances left behind by Israeli forces exploded, according to the territory's civil defense. The group said several more children were wounded, with some in critical condition. Continued Israeli attacks were also reported throughout the day, with artillery, air raids and helicopter strikes in both northern and southern parts of the enclave. In central Gaza, civil defense teams operating with police and Red Cross support recovered the bodies of 8 members of a single family from the rubble of their home in the Maghazi camp, which was struck in an earlier Israeli attack. The Gaza government media office said the number of bodies retrieved since the ceasefire began has now reached 582, while more than 9,500 Palestinians remain missing beneath the ruins of bombed-out districts. Ukraine's security chief said he hopes to arrange for President Volodymyr Zelensky to visit the U.S. at the earliest suitable date this month as diplomatic attempts to end the war continue. Ukraine agreed to a peace deal, a U.S. official said, adding that there are still some minor details to be sorted out. Kiev has not commented, and the White House has not confirmed the prospect of any Trump-Zelensky talks. Meanwhile, U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll and team have been in discussions with the Russian delegation to achieve a lasting peace in Ukraine late Monday and throughout Tuesday. The exact nature of the discussions was not immediately clear, and it was not known who was in the Russian delegation. A U.S. official said Driscoll, who has emerged as appointment for U.S. diplomatic efforts on Ukraine, was also expected to meet Ukrainian officials while in Abu Dhabi. But the fighting has continued with Russia and Ukraine, trading overnight air attacks. Officials in Kiev said at least 6 people had been killed in Russian strikes on the city, while Russian officials said at least 3 had been killed in a Ukrainian strike in the Rostov region.